Oops. We are recording and streaming with Ms. Claire Lopez on Thursday, November 21st, 2024 at 1:02 p.m. Eastern Time. Claire's been on here a zillion times before. You guys can go in the description. You can find the link to all of her writing. You can find her and most importantly her Twitter. Please go follow her on Twitter. I was gonna bring up the Atacom missiles launched, and then I think last night or this morning there was something resembling, obviously not with a thermonuclear warhead, something resembling an ICBM launched from Russia. There's video of it coming in, and it looks like the MIRV, the multiple independent reentry vehicles. But you just told me 30 seconds ago that Matt Gaetz removed himself from the running for AG. So I don't even know where to start. I'm gonna just
Yeah, yeah,
delegate to
things
you.
are happening faster than we can keep up, that's for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, that news just broke a very short time ago. Matt Gaetz has removed himself from the running from consideration for nomination to Attorney General by incoming President Trump. And the questions swirling now are, well, what does he intend to do next? Some suggestions include that the Senate seat from Florida vacated now with the nomination of Marco Rubio to be Secretary of State. That Senate seat under the rules of the state of Florida can be filled now by appointment by the governor, Ron DeSantis. Now, whether or not that would happen, I have no idea. But that is one of the possibilities that has been suggested. Um,
Is
or Matt Gaetz could run for some other position somewhere. Um, he is the uh, representative elect as of the November 5th elections for his House seat. This gets complicated. For his House seat, he remains the House representative elect. However, the fact that Matt Gaetz resigned immediately from his position November 2024 as a then, now, until January, sitting member of the House of Representatives seems to indicate to me that he has no intention of taking up that seat that he, won in the November elections, but I think now has no intention of taking up. My quick, thoughts about this for the moment. Everything is swirling at the moment, but that's the latest news.
okay, so I thought he was a senator. So he's a congressman, so it might be that he's just pivoting to go take Senate seat from Florida.
Well, that would depend again on
Yeah, if
Governor Ron DeSantis and whom he chooses to nominate to be the new senator from Florida taking Marco Rubio's place. Now, whether Governor Santos, would even consider nominating Matt Gaetz, I don't know. That's not been suggested. That's simply an idea that's floating around out there.
do we know why he took himself out from
No, not really. I don't know of a statement by Matt Gaetz except for the fact that he has removed himself from consideration for the AG post. So I don't know any further statements. It's just been coming too fast to catch up. But we do know that all kinds of allegations have been swirling around him regarding the House Ethics Committee investigation, which was concluded without any further action or follow up of any kind by Justice Department. It was essentially concluded and then dropped, and the contents of that ethics committee investigation at the moment remain um, sealed, or at least not public, maybe I should say. I have some doubts as to whether those contents will remain confidential going forward. Don't know, but wonder if that at least might have played into Matt Gaetz's decision to remove himself from the running from nomination as Trump's AG.
I mean, I would say that's a good. I don't know anything about it, but I mean, if he is guilty of whatever was he was accused of relations with a minor, yeah, no, I'm remove it. That's kind of a deal breaker for me. That's I got
Well, again, I mean,
if I have no idea.
there
Yeah,
was no follow-up in a legal sense to uh,
sure.
indict him or to proceed with any kind of legal, proceedings. And Representative Matt Gaetz has denied the accusations. And again, they remain not public at the moment, but we shall see how that goes.
Wild. I was gonna ask then, kind of more globally, um, Ukraine's use of the I don't even know how to say ATACM missiles,
ATACMS. ATACMS,
ATACMS. Oh, that's of course that's
ATACMS is an acronym for
yeah.
Army Tactical Missile System.
Okay.
ATACMS.
Okay. Yeah. Because I'd actually just, I guess, coincidentally read about him like a month or just on a whim.
Uh-huh.
That's a great, that's a great, what acronym, ATACMS. But,
Yeah.
and then and I have no idea if it's true or been validated. I think Russia said it wasn't an ICBM, but there are videos of, I guess, last night or night Ukraine time. It was dark. There was it looked exactly like a Merv re-entry video, which those videos are super classified. You can find some on YouTube from like the 60s. Basically, it's the I know you know, but for the listener, it's when the nukes come in, it's kind of an ICBM goes up and then it releases a handful of them. It increases the chances of it hitting the target. They come in at re-entry speeds and they basically look like lasers. They're coming so fast. That's exactly what the video looked like coming from Ukraine.
Well,
Obvi-
I've not seen any indication that ICBM was MIRVed, none. But the remains of it, wherever it
yeah,
crashed, will be recovered,
yeah.
and it will be determined with certainty what kind of a missile that was.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, and obviously we know it wasn't a nuke because that would have been the first thing. There would be no one saying, "I wonder what that was." It'd be pretty clear. Regardless, ICBM or not, this is a jump up in escalation.
Well, I mean, think about the October, what was it, night of 13/14? No, I'm sorry, that was the Israeli date of their retaliation for the October
Hmm.
1st attack by the Iranian regime against Israel with ballistic missiles. And those ballistic missiles, not ICBMs, but ballistic missiles, were nuclear capable. Although again, not tipped with nuclear warheads. But it is now both Iran and Russia, um, firing off at least nuclear capable ballistic missiles. We'll wait to hear, what is found when the remains, the pieces of the Russian ICBM are found and analyzed. But we do know that in October, when Iran shot 181 ballistic missiles at Israel, they were nuclear capable. Just a quick note on that. Um, the international community, I might have talked about this before, but for whatever reasons of vocabulary, lexicon decision, um, they do not call um, a nuclear weapon until the warhead is actually attached to the nose cone of the delivery system, the ballistic missile. At that point, it becomes a deliverable nuclear weapon. And so, perhaps under international law, I got this question this morning on a news panel at One American News. It was, the reason the people are questioning why is Israel holding off on going after Iran's nuclear weapons program after um, its attacks back in April, and then again in mid-October, 13-14 night of 13-14 October, when those attacks basically cleared a corridor for the IAF, Israeli Air Force, took out uh, advanced radar warning sites, took out the remaining three S-300 aerial defense systems that Iran still had after the earlier attacks in April took out one of them. The October attacks took out the remaining three, leaving the Iranian regime essentially open to any follow-on um, Israeli attack that might be thought about. Now, the question again, why haven't they moved? Well, perhaps why they've not moved against Iran's nuclear weapons program is because um, the doctrine, international law regarding anticipatory self-defense, um, under which Israel would be absolutely, you know, legitimate to attack, but that would only take place if an attack is imminent, which maybe could be argued is not the case if the warhead's not yet attached to the missile nose cone. So that's Iran. But just drawing the parallel here between the two of them, both members of the axis of dictatorships, the axis of rogues, or whatever you want to call them, of Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran. But here now, Iran and Russia both, um, firing off ballistic missiles. Iran at Israel, Russia at Ukraine.
So to get less caught up, it's kind of like what was the big picture importance of Trump going on, Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman, Theo Vaughn, all of these, or Elon Musk. It was less about whose show he was going on and what they were even talking about, but rather the fact that he was going on talking, scripted or unscripted, for several hours,
Yeah.
and Kamala didn't. It's less about what the shows were, but so kind of like to not get lost in the details. Nuclear weapons paired, which is a huge detail, but nuclear weapons paired or not, ATACMS or ICBMs or ballistics or in general, in the same sense of the Trump podcast thing. This is a hairy escalation. This is jumping up
Well,
to
not really. No.
okay.
The Brits and the French already previously have given permission to Ukraine
Yeah, Storm
to
Shadow.
use their longer range missiles. In the case of the Brits, it's called the
Storm
Storm
Shadow.
Shadow missile. They already granted that permission to Ukraine. And when we talk about these ATACMS, and they're called long range missiles, their actual range is like around 190
Yeah,
miles.
300 kilometers, I think.
Kilometers?
300 kilometers, so
Okay,
probably
okay,
190
right,
miles.
right. Making the calculation there, which is not very far into Russia and might just reach through the Kursk Oblast, from which from which Russia long time has been launching long range missiles, drones, rockets at Ukrainian civilian targets, apartment buildings, hospitals, clinics, schools, kindergartens.
Okay.
The permission by France, by the UK, now by the United States, for Ukraine to use our provided missiles to strike into Russian territory to the limit of their range, what we say, 190 miles. Um, we know for a fact that Ukraine is not going to be aiming at Russian apartment buildings, clinics, hospitals, kindergartens, and nursery schools. They will be aiming for launch sites, ballistic missile staging sites, ammo dumps, and the like. That is what they will be hitting to stop the attacks by Russia, now coming on 3 years, into their territory, sovereign national territory, in a war of aggression. So
Fair
I
enough.
think that this move, this decision by the Biden administration, is way belated. It should have happened 2 years ago at a minimum. Um, I hope it's not too little too late, but at least should help Ukraine to defend itself against Russian aggression against its civilian targets.
Okay, fair enough. But because you and I have pretty much been covering nonstop negative news for I'd argue almost 4 years, I think we owe it to ourselves to have some positive news in that Trump won. The election wasn't stolen.
There we
And I know
go.
something you're heavily involved in and heavily uh, literate about is the southern border. So in terms of shifting to some positive news, because
Okay.
I think we deserve it. What's going to happen? I mean, on day one, hitting the ground running. What is? I mean, obviously record, illegal immigrants, but also, I mean, human trafficking, crime, rape, murder. How is he going to go in and change it up day one?
Well, here is what we've heard from both President-elect Trump and also from the incoming new border czar, he's called Tom Homan, who
Hmm.
formerly, as we'll recall, was the acting ICE director for um, President Trump and his earlier administration, ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement. And what they have said, and Tom Homan in particular, in a number of interviews that he's had since his naming as President Trump's nominee, appointee as border czar, what he said is that the number one top priority, day one, when this new administration takes office, will be to go after the criminals, those illegal aliens with criminal records, murderers, rapists, and go for them first. They know who they are, they can identify them, they can round them up, and to detain and deport them. I saw that the state of Texas, under Governor Greg Abbott, has just offered a large ranch
Hmm.
territory on the border of Texas with Mexico as a detention center pending the formal detention and deportation procedures that will happen. But again, prioritizing the criminals, the gang members, the traffickers, narco traffickers, human traffickers, child traffickers, and those who have prior records, of other crimes, rape and murder and so forth. Those will be top of the list. Now, I think that the Immigration Customs Enforcement, ICE, again, very likely will need to be beefed up with additional resources in both funding and personnel. And that might take a little while after January the 20th for Congress to appropriate such funding and personnel increases, but that'll happen. Whatever is needed and necessary to carry out the deportation procedures. Also, I did want to note, and I did this on our broadcast this morning. If I can um,
Go for it.
plug a different program.
Yeah.
It was at One America News with John Hines, the weekly, what does he call it? The weekly roundup, the weekly roundtable. And when we talked about this very issue this morning, I made a note that Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution explicitly states that not only is the United States of America a republic, a federal system republic, and that system is guaranteed to all the states of the Union, but that the federal government guarantees the defense of each individual state in the Union when, if it is invaded. And so that is exactly what we're looking at here. states all over the Union absolutely have been invaded by illegal aliens, unvetted, undetained. Um, and that word, the invasion word, has been used by President Trump in numerous occasions, speeches and former rally talks, in which he characterized, I think, correctly, and so does Tom Homan, that this is an invasion. And so the legal, constitutional foundation for, if necessary, even the use of U.S. military troops to augment ICE personnel, to augment local law enforcement, or if for whatever reason local law enforcement at the municipal or the state level, as we've heard some, leadership talking about, refuse to cooperate with the federal deportation, ICE removal operations, if it should become necessary then to because they cannot rely on local forces, if that should become the case, we have the constitutional legal foundation for the use of federal forces. And again, that is Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah. A lot. I mean, it's also people that think it's evil to love your country. A lot of people are, this isn't a military emergency. What is a domestic military emergency other than 20 million fighting age men who are literally raping and pillaging?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And the thing is,
When
we
is
don't
the
even know
military?
the numbers,
Of course we don't. We
but
don't.
there are millions,
When is
millions
an
of them.
emergency?
And an
When is
awful
an
lot
emergency?
of them, as you say, just you say, Tommy, are young, military age men who have arrived without wives or children or families.
It's like the picture that shows the caravan and says, uh, men fleeing bring their wives and kids. Men going to war leave their wives and kids home. Yeah, where are the wives
Oh,
and
exactly, exactly.
I know that's a wide and not this isn't I don't know the straw man is you're against immigration. No, I'm not. I'm an Irish pig. I'm
You're
trust me,
right.
the Irish need not apply. Hey, Carrigan, hey, we my ancestors, the first ones over here, fought for Lincoln. The Irish came right off the boat. I get it. But you know, when is a military emergency? If you're not going to do it in 2020 when cities are burning, when is a military? I mean, it's when is there one? And it's other than, the nefarious machinations behind why they've done it to push illegals into swing states who then vote for the people that brought them in, and then you thus destroy swing states. It is an emergency, and you can't say that it's not. The current administration has done so much more than just not helped. They've actively aided and abetted it. You don't sure, devil's advocate, you could maybe say, hey, it's a huge border, you can't catch them all. That's bullshit because you have surveillance, but whatever, sure. You don't accidentally put people in planes and fly them into the middle of the country.
That
That's not
that above everything
it's
else.
it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
when guys get into weightlifting and they go, I don't want to get too big. I'm like, you cannot accidentally build muscle. Take it from me. I've been doing it painstakingly for 20 years. When you build a house, you don't accidentally build the Empire State Building. You don't accidentally fly people in the middle of the country. So it's aiding and abetting, but that's a huge one. And then it's also being floated to actually use the military against cartels across the border. And I'm having
There's another aspect to it.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I'm having
absolutely.
Dale on Tuesday. Dale was youngest ever member of Delta Force, was in CIA ground branch. He's coming on Tuesday. He's been on here a million times before to talk about the feasibility of that. And I want to know if you had any thoughts on that about using the U.S. military to destroy these because we have a narco oligarchical hellscape on our literal southern border. I don't if we're going to use the military and you know iffy global wars and interventions at best. If we're gonna send aircraft carrier strike groups to Israel or fund Ukraine or send weapons to Taiwan, I really don't know why we are being wishy-washy about sending Delta Force in to these narco pretty impressive military forces for non-state actors. on our southern border. And I want to know if you had any thoughts on that or opinions or really anything.
Yeah, I'll jump back to the Constitution very
Yeah,
quickly here when you were talking about the willful policy of this Biden-Harris government administration willfully to allow and permit and even aid and abet, as you said, with the flights, an invasion by illegal aliens of this country. And I'm going to go back to the Constitution, like I said, Article 2, Section 3, which reads, the president shall, not if he feels like it, wakes up one morning and decides maybe he wants to do something like, shall ensure the laws be faithfully executed. To and for a president and vice president, as well as other officials of the administration who've taken that oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution, that is an abrogation of their oath. In particular, again, Article 2, Section 3, shall enforce the laws, shall ensure the laws be faithfully executed. So let's deal with that. But then about the cartels and the border, what else I would add to that is that these cartels, we're talking Sinaloa cartel,
Los
the
Zetas.
Zetas, the Golfos, the Jalisco Nueva Generacion cartels, all of them, they not only, well, first of all, they're organized in an org chart that would almost look like a corporation. So they've got, the admin branch, the
Yeah,
logistics branch, the weapons branch, the personnel branch, and so on,
they
right?
have navies.
And in navies, yeah, military. Um, but the point here being that not only does the real estate, excuse me, land acquisition block of that org chart and have been purchasing land across our southern border, California to Arizona, to Mexico, to Texas, purchasing land along that border for decades, from which to operate in support of cartel operations on both sides of the border. But in addition, all those above named cartels have got representation in every major city of the United States of America. It's not just along the border. And add to that now other gangs. We didn't mention MS-13, but them too. And also the Venezuelan gang that is really wreaking havoc, the Tren de Aragua, which we
Colorado.
first learned about in Aurora, Colorado, but now we know is all over and has spread all over the United States, including to my home state here in Virginia. So it's not just about being on the border. These cartels, these gangs have not just members, but actual property, a basis of operation uh, across the United States.
I mean, you have to respect your enemy. You have to respect, yeah, these aren't just this isn't, like the 1990s stereotype of, a gang member like sagging his pants with a sideways gun. They have navies, they have submarines, they have
Yeah.
research. They they
Mhm.
they 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 store their money. They store their money under shell companies and buy penthouses in New York and Miami. You got to respect it. It's incredibly impressive. They also do human trafficking. It's not just drugs, it's human
Right.
trafficking. This is the epitome of evil. And then so yeah, even regardless of like the basic defend the border. I mean, for the to the fact that a gang taking over an apartment complex was not met with a convoy of tactical SWAT teams in 2 hours, let alone 6 months. It is so far beyond complicit. I mean, if you can shut down Boston in the hours after the Boston Marathon
Yeah.
bombing,
Yeah.
you can't there's no answer for it's certainly not the that we're lacking the weaponry or the manpower, and you can't even say that we're lacking the precedent. Boston Marathon bomb, they unofficially declared martial law and shut down that city.
Yes.
There is no reason other than you want this to happen.
Incompetence and complicity.
I can't even give them incompetence anymore. It's
Complicity.
complicity. It's complicity.
Yeah.
It's not some highlighted, Like I know about the girl at UGA that was raped and murdered by an illegal immigrant because it happened in the intramural fields, which is where I used to park because it was the cheapest
Wow.
park. So but I'm just aware of it. So, you hear about, someone in Florida or California, it's more of a passing thing. That one I was like, oh, that's kind of, UGA dogs. And I
Close to
used to
home,
park
huh?
there. Yeah, so I just remember it. So, but that's not even what I'm doing, is I'm not even showcasing something like that. It's an armed takeover of an apartment. This isn't something you just go, you're a fearmonger. It's no, that's foreign military action.
Yeah.
Go in and kill them. So, I mean, but it does seem like, is it Holman? Hallman?
Tom Homan?
Yeah, Holman.
Homan. Tom Homan.
From what little I know about him, he seems like the guy. I
Oh
don't think
yeah,
I don't think
very much
he's
so.
I don't think
But
he's
but you
messing
can
around.
see in his various and kind of numerous interviews that he's given lately, he's
Yeah.
all business about going after the illegal aliens, beginning with those who are criminals, gang members, traffickers of all kinds.
Yeah.
But then, with the sentencing yesterday of Jose Ibarra, in the case of the horrific assault and murder of Laken Riley on the campus of the University of Georgia, Ibarra sentenced to life in prison without parole. But
That
when
was the
Tom
UGA
Homan,
one. Sorry,
say again,
that was the UGA one. That's what I was just
that's
talking
right,
about.
that's
I didn't
right.
even realize that's the one it was.
Okay. And when Tom Homan was speaking on whatever number of programs, I think about that case and about the sentencing, you could see that it affected him. I mean, he's not just about let's go get him, detain him, throw. He was emotionally affected by that, and you might notice too that he repeatedly brings up a memory from a lot of years ago, and that being when he was down there on the Mexican border with Texas, and they discovered a tractor trailer car, a a big cargo container, right?
Oh yeah, with all the bodies
And
in it.
it had been decoupled, I guess, from the truck and left there in the sun, locked up tight, and everybody inside was dead. And when they opened it up, I mean, I can only imagine, what kind of scene they must have witnessed there. But Tom Holman, to this day, and I heard him just yesterday again in an interview, talking about one little boy who died inside that container in the arms of his father of, basically, heat, just murdered by the cartel and whoever drove that truck. And Tom remembers because he at that time was the father of a little boy who's now older, but at that time his own little boy was about that age. And that memory has stayed with him forever. And he's thinking about the human cost of the trafficking. Yes, Lake and Riley and Jocelyn Nungara and Rachel Morin and all of these others inside the United States, Americans who've been targeted and attacked and raped and murdered by these illegal aliens. But Tom is also thinking about those being trafficked across the border. Some of these illegal aliens themselves, becoming victims of the trafficking by the cartels. And so what I wanted to do was just draw that sort of contrast between his absolutely no nonsense agenda for detaining and deporting illegal aliens, especially the criminals, but pair that along with, a really heartfelt, sympathy of a father who knows what's happening to too many of these people, including the women and the children being trafficked across that border.
It's it's I think you and I talked about this earlier this year. I remember you
Hmm.
sending me an interview or something I remember
Yeah,
watching it for
we
one of our
did.
shows. Yeah, that's the other thing is these aren't just numbers. These are all stories. And, I've heard the argument, which is fine. What about all the murderers here? Yes, screw them also. But for everything that happens from an illegal immigrant that wasn't even supposed to be
Yeah,
here,
yeah,
it's hey man, I'm in an apartment building. It's one thing if I get a noise complaint from like my neighbor or if I give a noise complaint. But what if there's people here that don't even live here? That's like an extra level of bullshit. And so like that's kind of how I look at it. But it's also not only should it not happen at all, it is such like a basic, this isn't some, as much as the left is trying to frame it, this isn't some crazy fascist nationalism. This is like the most basic. This isn't, trying to justify going into Vietnam. This isn't some abstract domino theory about why you got to go to a jungle on the other side of the planet because this is so clear cut. It's
yeah.
your own country, it's your own border.
Right.
It's not so that's how there's very few things that I just kind of case closed on it for me
Yeah,
personally.
and
Like
I know that that's how Tom Homan looks at it as well, because every single one of these illegal aliens who crossed that southern border of ours illegally without proper authorization has already violated
yes,
8 U.S. Code 1325. That is the law, 8 U.S. Code 1325, the law about illegal aliens. They've already broken that law. But on a whole nother scale of culpability, of course, are the cartels, which are military outfits as well as corporate ones,
yeah.
and which the United States military absolutely has every right to go after on both sides of the border. If the government of Mexico, and there is a new president there, what's her name, Claudine
Claudia Scheinbaum.
Scheinbaum, doesn't take the steps, and I'm sure that are necessary to stop this. But I'm also sure that incoming President Trump will have probably already spoken with her, or soon will, but certainly after taking office on January the 20th, um, you know, uh, letting her know that if she does not take action or has not, then we will, and with every right to do so upon invasion by an alien horde of military men,
And
including the cartels.
yes, and to take it like one step further, I have two friends, both who I met when I was working security at a summer job back in 2011 at a bar. Um, Ivan Georgiev, who's from Bulgaria, and I can't remember his last name, but Princey from Kosovo. Both are
Oh,
here now. Both are full citizenship. Both are Ivan's is a literal world-class bodybuilder, and Prince is now a multiple small business owner,
mm,
wife, kids, full citizenship. And you ask them, and I've actually had Prince on here. You ask, and these are guys I met that when I first met them, barely spoke a lick of English. These guys would work like back-to-back 10-hour shifts. I
wow.
would go to work with them, go home to my parents' house, sleep, wake up, go to the gym, come back to work the next day, and they'd still be there, back
Wow.
every day for hundreds of days just to go back and pay for college and never did it with so much as a complaint. And now I see them and they're actually, I'd say they're probably more successful than I am. They're both doing very well. I've
Mm,
had Prince on here and asked him about it, and he has zero sympathy for him. Go through the process.
yeah.
And that's so it's one thing for me to make this argument just in the realm of keeping, ideas open. Sure, born and raised here, nuclear family, private Catholic school, I've had it very good. So I'll ask the two guys that don't see their families anymore and have gone through hell to get here, and they are more cold and stone-faced than I am. Shut up, go through there's no sob story. It's shut up, go through the process. These
Yeah.
are the guys that love this
Well,
country more
it's
than
not fair
anything.
to them,
No,
that
it's not.
others are
Or
now
their
jumping the
families that
line,
still aren't here, or
and
it's
not only jumping the line, but also uh,
denying.
likely taking jobs from earlier legal immigrants who now work within the system lawfully, and the illegal aliens coming in and taking jobs from those American citizens at the lower levels or even up the levels of the economic ladder because they'll undercut wages and work for lower income.
It's the only people that are okay with it are either politicians who are using it in a Machiavellian manner,
Mm,
insanely wealthy people who are disconnected from the plights, or cartels pushing this themselves making money through trafficking. Anyone that has any involvement with it, be it you live on the border or be like the two I just mentioned, or you're an immigrant yourself, or you lost a family member. No, it is that is the one thing I'm most, I don't know, grateful for is that that happens. You have to have a you have to lock your door. It's the most basic thing. Like you can't that like there's a there's a my phone requires an ID. It's just screw off. It's the most basic thing. And the people who are not for it, or the people who are for kind of the status quo. And again, all the laws already exist. It
they
doesn't
do.
require some new
Yeah.
sweeping legislation.
Nope.
It all
Nope. Just extra funding probably for additional capabilities and personnel.
What do we do if Tommy throws back 8 beers and drives to Walmart? Well, you'd use the existing laws and the existing field sobriety tests and the existing, penal system and there's nothing new. What? It's to me that is, it does seem like it's gonna move in the right direction. And it's such a no-brainer to me. You have to have a functioning board. There's nothing wrong with that. You have to have it. So that's most interesting,
Absolutely.
I'm I'm also more also I'm also interested in, and perhaps this could be another show because I know I gotta let you go, but the Department of Government Efficiency, I think that will be kind of interesting.
Let me add one real quick
Sure, yeah,
note.
go for it. Yeah.
I bet you people maybe don't know this, but in the Middle Ages, uh, as very formidable, powerful rulers over some of the city states of then Italy before it was unified into a country, in places like Genoa and Venice, other cities too. Those formidable, powerful rulers, you know what they were called? Doges. Doge, plural S. Doges. Now, I don't know if Elon Musk, or um, uh,
Vivek
who am I thinking of?
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Vivek Ramaswamy, if either one of them has thought about this or not. But I think it's pretty cool for anybody who looks this up or knows where this comes from. But DOGE has a history, formidable and powerful leadership. Goes all the way back to the Middle Ages in Italy.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
Yeah, the meme
Doges.
magic.
There they
Yeah,
come.
that's amazing. Um, but we'll wrap it up. I know I'll let you go. I know you have another engagement, and we will resume. Well, I don't know. Next week's Thanksgiving, so it might not be next week. I imagine we'll resume the following week.
The one after, maybe then.
Okay.
Well, I wish you in advance and all of your viewers and listeners a very happy Thanksgiving.
You as
And
well.
I will catch you next time along with Tommy.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, guys. Please go to the description. Please go follow Claire on Twitter. And again, to you, happy Thanksgiving, Claire. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
guys. Thank you for